proclaimed a fast there at the river of Ahava, that we might afflict ourselves before our God, to seek of him a right way for us, and for our little ones, and for our substance. Look at verse 22. For I was ashamed to require of the king a band of soldiers and horsemen to help us against the enemy in the way. Why? Because we had spoken unto the king, saying, this is what we said, the hand of our God is upon all them for good that seek him, but his power and his wrath is against all them that forsake him. So we fasted and besought our God for this, and he was entreated of us. Yeah. Would you just say to someone, I'm risking it all on God. I'm risking it all on God. I'm risking it all on God. That's an interesting reading. It's an interesting passage. I proclaimed a fast that we might afflict ourselves before God, to seek of him a right way for us and for our children and for our stuff. We called a fast. And the reason for our fast is because we wanted God to show us the right way. For us, for our children, and for our stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
We called a fast because we needed to know the right direction to take for us, for our children, and for our stuff.
That's it. Yes, sir.
We called a fast.
Yes.
We were not fasting for just anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we needed answers.
Yeah.
We needed answers for us.
Yes.
We needed answers for our children.
Yes.
And we needed answers for our stuff. So we called a fast. We called a fast. When was the last time you called a fast in your house? I know people say, you know, the church. But what about the church where you live? Not the church you come to, but the church where you live. When was the last time you called a fast for your house? I'm not sure the direction our house, our marriage, our situation needs to go. So we're fasting for direction for our house. We're fasting for direction for our children. We're fasting for direction for our stuff. Now don't get mad at folk, that have stuff. Don't get mad. When you look at geography, when you look at the map, when you look at history, it's interesting, just as a side note, it's interesting how much science, math, archaeology, anthropology, all those things that came out of came out of Africa. It is mind-boggling when you go back and see how much came out of Africa, and yet we have allowed society to paint Africa as a dark country. And the people of Africa as savage and ignorant and unlearned. We have allowed society to suggest to us that those people that came over on the Nina, the Pinta, and the that's it. The people that came over who would not have survived if they hadn't learned from the savages. Well, isn't it interesting that they learned how to survive from savages and then turn around and put the savages under them? Isn't it interesting that math and the genius of the pyramids, the genius of the pyramids is the work of Africans. And yet when an African-American person is promoted to president, We join the sides of others rather than celebrating who we are.
Hallelujah.
We have allowed so much of what people think of us to shape and to mold us. We've allowed people's misunderstanding of being Pentecostal, of being holy rollers, to make us take a back step. Church of God in Christ. What does that mean? Is that like Church of God? Is that like Assembly of God? What is that? No, we're Church of God in Christ. Taken from the scriptures. The churches in Judea that are in Christ Jesus. Scriptural base. When you look at the doctrine of the church, the doctrine is not a man-made, but it's scriptural based. The principles on which we stand, the dogma, the doctrine, the dogma on which we promote is scriptural based. It's not something that somebody sat down in the schools of higher learning and just came up with. But can I give you a word from my vocabulary? Can I give you a word? The word is palpable. P-A-L-P-A-B-L-E. Palpable. Palpable. It means clear to the mind, obvious, or evident. Palpable. We have become or allowed ourselves as a church, God-minded, God-fearing people to accept answers that are palpable, clear to the mind, obvious, evident. And yet, the antithesis of that is God calls us to walk by faith. Right. And faith is seldom palpable. That's good. Faith is seldom clear to the mind. All right. Faith is seldom obvious. Yes. Faith is never evident. If it's faith. If it's faith, you can't see it. Yeah. If it's faith, you don't understand it. If it's faith, it doesn't make sense to the intellect. Thought about my friend and her romance with Nietzsche. Don't worry, she knows what I'm talking about. And I thought to ask, which is more wise, to be half right or to be absolutely wrong? Go ahead. Because we've come to a place to where it's got to make sense to us. Right. If you're asking me to pay tithe, Big Mama and them paid tithe, Mama paid tithe, Uncle Bud and them paid tithe, but it doesn't make sense to me. It's not palpable. All right. That's good. I understand that the church used to fast, but you know now people fast to purge their bodies. They fast for health reasons now. So fasting is no longer palpable, or it is not obvious, it is not evident, it is not clear to the mind. Now we're in the information age that wants to know why. Yes. Isn't it something that most of us that came up didn't ask why? We just saw the mothers and it worked for them. We saw the fathers of our church and it worked for them. But now we minister to a society that want to know why.